Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the It's the Pitchers podcast. This is episode number 225, and I am your host, Max Covill. This week, we'll be talking about the late Sam Neill, who passed away, the great actor from Jurassic Park, and plenty of other movies, which we'll touch upon shortly. But before we get into that, I am joined by my co host, Evan Crean. Hi, Evan.
Hey Max, how's it going?
It's going good. I mean, that was a surprise, right? Like, because I was talking to somebody, like, we didn't really have an idea really what we were gonna do for this episode
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't know if we just wanted to make it like Christopher Nolan centric with the Odyssey coming out.
Right.
But this isn't a good news peg that came out. This is a quite disappointing or sad, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. It's a sad topic.
Yeah, but yeah, he's a great actor. And if you've only ever seen him in Jurassic Park, hopefully we'll name some movies here that you could check out for yourself. I also did a article on him on the newsletter if you want to check that out, and link to a lot of different places where you might be able to stream his movies if you want to catch up with some of them. Evan, how are you been doing lately?
Doing good. I'm doing good. We had fun hanging out yesterday. Had a birthday shindig. We did some karaoke, which was good times. And I'll tell listeners and Max, you were very game to do karaoke. You were helping keep the momentum going. Both you and Shannon were making sure to keep us going with karaoke. It was much needed because I feel like there were a few of us that were like pretty gung ho, and other people were like, maybe I'll do a song.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I don't really feel that embarrassed about singing in front of people. I know, like, for other people that's like, oh god, no, they would never do it, but I don't really mind. I ended up singing plenty of songs, and also I realized today that not only did I sing a Japanese song, but I also sang a song that had some Spanish in it too, so
Mm.
many different languages.
Someone asked me if you knew Japanese, and I was like, no, he's just phonetically singing the lyrics as he's seeing them on the screen.
Yeah, I don't. If listeners know the famous Japanese city pop song from the '80s, "Stay with Me," I've listened to it countless times. I actually have it on vinyl, so knowing how to sing it phonetically, that I was able to do. But if you ask me like what every sentence means, no, I wouldn't be able to tell
Mm.
you.
I was glad you made sure to get in I Touch Myself. I know that's one of your
Yes,
karaoke standards, so you like to throw in there.
yes, and then people ask me why, and I'm like, that's exactly why I choose that one.
Yeah,
And
well,
I think I
it's a good
remember it
one.
mostly from Austin Powers.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. This is the scene where he's like seducing the fembots and their heads are exploding.
Yes.
I did one of my standards, ACDC's Big Balls, which I knew would be interesting, and I had a lot of fun singing it.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's funny. It's like you don't know like everybody there, and you're not sure how it will go over with the crowd. I knew that after I sang the Japanese song that like we were having the party in like a Japanese restaurant or Asian fusion restaurant. And I'm like, they must have
Hmm.
been laughing in the back listening to this like white
Yeah,
American like butcher
probably.
Japanese.
Yeah. Although I was a little dismayed when my toddler was like, you should sing the Big Balls song. That was hilarious. Sing Big Balls. It's funny. I was like, oh boy, I may have created a monster here.
No, that was a nice time, and are plenty of new movies that we've been seeing at the box office. I've been to the movies a few times recently. You have too.
Hmm.
But before we get into our feature with Sam Neill, we'll also be talking about our thoughts about the Odyssey later. If you want to stay tuned for that, that will be near the end of the episode.
Hmm.
We have a lot of news. Evan reminded me at the end of last week's episode, not actually 2 weeks ago, but our last recorded episode, that
Hmm.
we didn't mention the news about Sony discontinuing physical disc for PlayStation 5 at the end of like January 2028, I think it was. And also that would preclude them to not include a disc drive in any future PlayStation models, you'd imagine,
Hmm.
and what effects that would have not only on physical games but on physical media entirely. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just pretend that the PlayStation isn't a big purveyor of disc players in people's houses these days.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I use my PlayStation as my 4K player for movies.
Hmm.
And it's really heartbreaking to think that they're not going to be doing that anymore. But there's so many things that are upsetting about it. It's like, one, it's, we've kind of known this to some degree, where it's like you don't own anything anymore. You're not allowed to own anything. Our corporate overlords own it, and they can yank it away from you at any time now because of, you're just buying a license to use it, and that's like super frustrating. But then there's like the whole piece of, without physical media, we're not going to have like getting good deals on the things,
Hmm.
because like, stores want to move, inventory, and we're not going to have the secondary market where people are selling, their used games, or you can buy used games for, lower prices. And that was abundantly clear to me today. I was walking around a local flea market, and it was just, wall to wall, like video games and movies and things. And it just was like breaking my heart all over again, thinking about this announcement and making me just mad all over again at Sony.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I waited a little bit for the dust to settle on this conversation because I think there's like a lawsuit happening in Denmark right now or something where they're telling Sony if they're not gonna have physical game sales, then the digital games need to be sold for a less price. They can't be charging the same because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have like the overhead of the production costs and everything to get into the
Right.
stores.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, Sony's just gonna be taking that money home, and maybe that's not fair to the consumer. So that's a lot of things that still have yet to play out. I know that Sony also owns the anime streaming site Crunchyroll. Um,
Mm.
Crunchyroll kind of bought one of the biggest purveyors of physical anime goods maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And the idea was that they were gonna like sell out of they were just gonna like rename the store and kind of keep the same model going.
Mm-hmm.
It became quickly apparent that that wasn't the case over the last few years. I know that I've bought significantly less, not solely because I went to digital, but because the buying experience wasn't as good. Recently came news that Crunchyroll is going to only carry select goods going forward, and their physical media store is actually going to be gated behind a membership where if you are a Crunchyroll member, you can access the store, which there's different tiers, and you can watch anime for free on Crunchyroll, like select titles and stuff. But if you want to access the physical media store in the future, you'll have to have one of those monthly subscription accounts to Crunchyroll, which
Yeesh.
yeah, you could say on one hand, if you like anime, you probably already have the subscription, but on the other hand, it is like a gated experience to buy exclusive items, which is kind of obnoxious.
It's very obnoxious, and it's like, how are you going to court new fans of anime if it's harder for them to get access to these things?
Right, and it feels so backwards from how the model of anime is in Japan, Evan, because they still sell the titles for like a premium when you buy the physical goods, and there's still like an emphasis to buy the physical mangas, and there's just like this collector's market in Japan, and
Mm-hmm.
by kind of diminishing that here, I don't know if the license holders will be more upset or if because Sony, you know, has so much market share here in America that they just get to push anyone around and say, well, if you want to do business in America, then it's solely a streaming market now, and we're not gonna have physical goods here. But
Yeah.
we'll see how it all shakes out. It's just kind of concerning. It feels like, if not the death blow for like physical media in general, just another blockade that didn't exist before. I know there's
Mm-hmm.
been some independent purveyors of media, and even anime, have come out and said, "Oh yeah, we still plan to keep our business going, stay in physical." Nothing here, nothing from any of the boutiques yet, like Criterion or Arrow, about closing up shop and not doing physical anymore. But it's fewer and further between. Evan, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
why I made the comparison to vinyl, and like vinyl is doing well, but
Mm-hmm.
what percentage of that is up there. It's still a very niche market, I believe. And how many people buy vinyl and just to like say that they own it, like say if they buy like a Taylor Swift variant and like don't actually
Yeah.
have a record player to play it on. So we'll see how that
Yeah,
goes.
we'll see.
Well, in other news, a streaming giant is recording some bad reports on their quarterly earnings, Evan, which is
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. And I guess news came out sometime last week that Netflix might be interested in buying Letterboxd. That's among many things that they've done within the last 2 weeks where Netflix really thinks, and most media companies, I imagine, believe that they're competing not only against like the other streaming services, but they're also competing against YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Reels, and TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
and for your time. And Netflix is opening up a lot of different avenues to keep people in its ecosystem. And they're like, oh, how can we keep people here? We'll just turn ourselves into YouTube. They
Yeah.
signed they signed a big deal with the was it the Good Mystical Morning guys, and they have plans to bring like other YouTube celebrity channels to Netflix. I think like Bon Appetit was one of them and I used to watch
Okay.
that for a while
Yeah,
ago.
used to watch their videos too.
Um, so yeah, that's their idea, is to keep people there, keep people wanting to keep their accounts going on Netflix. And I don't know. I mean, we were we were already talking about Netflix at length when we did the Enola Holmes movies recently, and how I don't necessarily love their model of what the kind of
Mm-hmm.
entertainment they're looking to put out there. They are very much looking to just grab people and hold them for a long time. There's more articles, Evan, over the past week where it was like they noticed that returning seasons for shows do significantly worse than launching shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like people just only care to like see what's going on for that like first 10 episodes, and then they don't come back and they don't stay around. That they said like one of the big rating juggernauts maybe was like the live action One Piece show, and they're like, oh, the season 2 numbers were down almost like 30% from the launch.
That's a shame. I mean, they should be doing a better job of making more compelling shows that people actually want to come back and watch.
Hmm.
I know my butt was in the seat as soon as they dropped the new season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I watched that pretty much immediately. Just like we immediately just like gobbled that all up.
Yeah, I think like some of it is how long it's taking for these seasons to come back and forth, Evan. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they were complaining about like the model that Netflix has kind of introduced has kind of bit them in the butt, right? Because if you can watch a show over the course of a weekend, then it's not like you're waiting only 2 months for like the next season to come out because of like a cyclical old-fashioned TV calendar, right? They'd run
Right.
September through May, and maybe you wouldn't watch it for like the summer, and then it'd be right back. Now, if you finish a show in a weekend, it might be 2 years before you see any more
It's
of it.
true. Yeah. Yeah, you're only really lucky sometimes if you get to something later. Like I think we started watching the show The Diplomat after
Hmm.
it already had like a season and it was already like almost time for a new season to come out. So it's like we barely had to wait for new
Right.
episodes to come out. But yeah, well, I mean, long enough time goes by, you kind of just forget about it. I think some of their strength in Netflix lies in some of these limited series that they do. Like I've said this before on the show. I watch a lot of the Harlan Coben shows, and it's like you can watch that, and it's just like its own self-contained thing, and it's usually 10-ish episodes, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on the one, and it's entertaining, and it's something to watch, and it doesn't require like sticking around for another season or necessarily like, waiting for so long because there's already so many of them out there.
Sure, some of the most successful Netflix series over the last few years, right? Were like, excuse me for butchering it because I didn't watch it, but it was like that Tiger King show. I think the guy
Yeah.
who I didn't watch that one. They had Baby Reindeer, they had
Mm-hmm.
Adolescence, just like you
Yeah.
said, these like mini series shows
His
that.
and Hers. I guess I didn't realize that did very well. The Tessa Thompson, what's his name, John Bernthal show. Apparently that
Mhm.
did really well.
Yeah, and I think like what was it like? There was like I thought you saw it, right? The Nicole Kidman like mystery show that they had on there. That
But
was like
yeah, yeah, the perfect.
Strangers or whatever.
couple getaway. I don't remember. Yeah, involved like a family, and Liev Schreiber played the husband, and she was the matriarch, and yeah, had a bunch of people. Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun show. I like that
But
Nicole Kidman's been doing a lot of TV lately.
I just think like having these long TV shows is not in Netflix's future. Like I think like Stranger
No,
Things is definitely like an end of an era for them. Like this have this like big 10-year 5-season show come and
yeah,
go.
I don't think it serves them, but I do think they should stop being such fucking boneheads and canceling shows that are good after one season. Like I haven't seen The Burrows, but I heard a lot of people really loved it, and they was like canceled.
Yeah, I heard some of that was like politics behind the scenes because the guys decided they signed a contract with Paramount recently, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh well, those guys kind of like stepped in our deal, so it doesn't look good for us, so we're just gonna cancel it."
Yeah, that's shitty. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's like just more limited runs of shows. Maybe it's more miniseries, and you have a couple of flagship shows that you're trying to run a few seasons of, but you're also not getting carried away and trying to run like 10 seasons of anything anymore. You're like, all right, let's like do a strong like 3, 4 seasons or something.
Yeah, like I think the Bridgerton model is pretty sustainable because like what they do is each 8 episode season that comes out, they highlight like different people, and like if there's people that used to be on the show, they just like kind of show up and say hi for like like 20 minutes.
Nice.
But yeah, we'll see how Netflix tries to evolve to keep people. I think some of the problem is that they've grown and they've saturated whatever market they're going to get, and now it's just about keeping people around.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about Paramount, that the deal with Warner Brothers, Evan, there
Yep.
was news since Paramount hopes to get that deal done, I guess by September, or they have to pay a lot more money for the closure or something like that. I think there's like some kind of stipulation in there that behooves them to get it done in September. There was 12 states, notably all Democratic states, who like Democratic leaders
Mm-hmm.
who came out to sue and block this Paramount Warner Brothers deal and says it's very bad for the movie industry and creatives in general. They're not the only ones to come out to try to block this deal, as the Writers Guild of America came out and tried to block the deal as well. We've already kind of seen the type of movies Paramount wants to release when pushed to release like 30 movies a
Mm-hmm.
year. Like, because that's like one of their promises is like, yeah, if we get Warner Bros, we'll release like 20 to 30 movies a year. And you'll get stuff like like the Jackass movie that we got, which was like half a clip show. Very, very quick and easy to produce, just to put something out there. And, there's a number of reasons why Paramount winning this deal and eating up Warner Brothers would not be good. Honestly, I don't think any company eating Warner Brothers is a good idea.
No.
We need more studios in the market, but like I know it's all about getting the Benjamins and getting out when you can. And Warner Brothers certainly had maybe its best 12 months in the last decade or so with the success that Sinners and One Battle After Another had back to back, and other moves that they made. So yeah, that's another we'll see. But
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I felt like Paramount was the lesser of two evils when it came to Netflix buying
mm,
Warner Brothers. But yeah, I agree. There's probably not anybody that should be buying Warner Brothers. Maybe Warner Brothers should just be its own company again.
right. And they should bring back the Looney Tunes instead of like putting them in a corner somewhere.
But yeah, bring them back. Let's throw in the Animaniacs and whoever else is wacky enough to join.
Before we get to our Sam Neill article, we just have a quick update on our summer movie bet game. We have what I would call the turn of the tide now
Yeah,
that
we knew it was coming.
yeah, some of my movies have come out here in July. As of now, we are recording the weekend after the Odyssey premiered, had a epic opening for an epic movie with 124 million estimated over the weekend. That's quite good for an R-rated movie. I was looking at the numbers before the weekend started, Evan, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it'd have to do better than like 87 or 88 to beat Oppenheimer's opening weekend, and it did 30 million better than that. So that's comfortable. I it's probably like third or fourth on the best opening weekends for an R-rated movie, because I know like when Deadpool Wolverine came out, that kind of like destroyed the market, but certainly a fantastic opening for a movie of that nature, and which was good for me because the weekend before that Moana opened, Evan, and
Hmm.
wildly disappointed. They said it was a Snow White level disaster.
I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they keep just churning out these like live action ones because most of them are just like not doing very well and people don't like them and they don't want them.
Yeah, it's a fine balance, because I was looking at this other article, Evan, and it was like, oh yeah, the live action How to Train Your Dragon did excellent, and
Hmm.
that really didn't do anything different, and it made a lot of money. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know, like you have to find this line between like nostalgia and people still being interested in it. And it's like, it's not that people don't like Moana. If they released Moana 3 animated, that thing would have been like gangbusters.
yeah, I'm sure it would have done well.
It's just like we're only 2 or 3 years removed from Moana 2, and this really doesn't feel like anything new at all.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I guess other people were saying, "Oh, does it say something about the star power of The Rock?" I don't know. I don't know if he can't open a movie anymore, or if it's just this particular movie.
yeah. I mean, how many people are going just to see The Rock in this? Like, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't think it's a good barometer of his star power. Whether people want to go see a live action version of a movie they've already seen with The Rock in it, I don't think he's the deciding factor.
Right, because I mean, certainly when Jumanji 3 comes out, I'm like, I don't think that is going to be like based on him and Kevin Hart and whoever else, Jack Black, if I remember, he's in that franchise together. It's
Hmm.
going to be, you know, he's still the marquee name, I believe. And as for you, your last movie to open was Minions and Monsters. It it's chugging along. I don't know.
It's made more than Disclosure Day
Yeah,
and Supergirl.
yeah. I don't. Minions and Monsters overall, I think that also kind of disappointed this summer, because the expectations would have been much higher for a Minions movie. I think it's pretty low considering. Do I think like Minions and Monsters and Toy Story 5 and Moana will continue to like get all the family dollars for maybe the rest of the summer? Yeah, probably. I mean, like, they were playing the Spider-Man trailer in front of Minions and Monsters. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe maybe there's crossover there. I don't. Certainly, like, kids like Spider-Man, but I don't know if I'm bringing like a 7-year-old to a Spider-Man movie. Those they get pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm only 2 million behind Evan now, with Spider-Man still to come.
Hmm.
So unless Spider-Man makes,
$0.
yeah, I think I should do pretty well heading into the final turn here. Okay, Evan, let's get into our discussion about Sam Neill, great actor who recently passed away. It was very sudden. People thought like maybe his cancer had returned. He was battling cancer for a little bit over the past few years, but actually, I guess in January he was cancer free.
Hmm.
It was actually just like he had pneumonia over a course of a few days, and he was, I think, 78 years old. So it's just a freak end to his life, and I've always enjoyed him as an actor, and it wasn't surprising to see many of his co-stars come out and say nice things about him, because
Hmm.
that would be expected. But it was just like when you see something like that, so many more people seem to know him or be like really upset about his passing. You realize like I wasn't the only one who really thought he was like this really good actor.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A small correction. He's actually from New Zealand,
Oh, thank you.
Sam Neill.
Yeah, and he had those early films in New Zealand, right? And
Hmm.
he didn't really have big crossover in America until getting the part for Jurassic Park, and being Spielberg's leading man for that one. And
Yeah, that really put him on the map.
I mean, obviously, if I asked Evan where he remembers seeing Sam Neill first, I imagine it's going to be Jurassic Park.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like that was an early movie I saw in the movie theater growing up, Jurassic Park,
Yeah,
and
it's
so
it's
it's
amazing.
memorable. Yeah,
It's amazing, Evan, that you and I have that same experience because, like, we would have been like 7 or 8 years old. I'm
yeah,
kind of fudging. I'm fudging our age. I know how old we were, and the movie was not appropriate for our age
yeah.
group.
I remember going to see with my dad and I think a family friend. We went to see it all together, and yeah, it was kind of scary for that age because there's some pretty scary stuff, especially the whole thing of like the dangling arm of the
Hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson character falling on Laura Dern. That was particularly traumatizing to childhood me. But yeah, we were maybe on the edge of being a little young to see Jurassic Park. But yeah, it's a memorable performance. I think he probably is what he's best known for.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more Jurassic Park in a little bit, but
yeah,
before that, he had his career in kind of smaller movies. I was telling Evan that I've seen the movie My Brilliant Career, which is available on Criterion, and great movie. He plays a part where he's like this guy, the romantic and love interest, and the woman really can never settle with him because she has goals of her own life. The movie, and it's kind of like female empowerment movie because she's like, I don't want to like just settle down and get married to you, and I have my own goals and dreams. So
hmm yeah. Yeah, before I know we're going to talk about another movie in a minute, but I want to mention because his earlier career, Sam Neill, that I totally forgot to add to the list. Dead Calm. I saw Dead Calm before, and he is tremendous in it. It's a really really good movie if you've never seen it. It's a very intense movie, like an intense thriller, and I think Sam Neill is really really good in it. And listeners, it's about a couple. Sam Neill and Nicole Kidman are on a boat, and they come across this stranger played by Billy Zane, and his boat is like ruined, and he's like, maybe you can help me. I'm like shipwrecked basically. My boat's sinking. I need help. And then he turns out to be like a dangerous, scary dude. It's really really good. It's very intense, and Sam Neill is like just absolutely excellent because his character has to go through like so much. It gets. I just want to say before I forgot to mention it.
right, and yeah, that's a good one to mention. I haven't seen that one, so that might be one I'm interested in checking up on. Another one that he's pretty famous for earlier in his career is this like horror movie called Possession. It's frequently discussed, and people say it's like the most crazy horror movie you can watch. It's kind of grown in reputation since this came
Mm-hmm.
out. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I know like there's even like an American remake in the works. So that's certainly something to check out early in his career. I guess a movie before Jurassic Park, Evan, is I was recently visited The Hunt for Red October, which this was a movie that I've heard a lot about over the years and never watched. And maybe the thing I knew about it most was, outside being a submarine movie, was that it
Mm-hmm.
had an amazing cast.
Yes. Yeah, and Sean Connery at the center of it. Him and Alec Baldwin are kind of like the main characters, right?
Yeah, right. Because Sean Connery is a Russian submarine captain who
Mm-hmm.
wants to defect to America, and he's on a state of the art Russian submarine, and he'll do anything he can to get safe passage to America. Meanwhile, the Russians have gotten this letter that he plans to defect, and they're like, oh, if we can't shoot him down, we'll try to convince the Americans to shoot him down.
Mm-hmm.
So they like say, oh, he's gone AWOL and he's going to attack America, and so like hopefully like convince the Americans to kill him. Meanwhile, Alec Baldwin plays Jack Ryan. I guess there's many Jack Ryan books. I know
Yeah,
that
this was the
much.
first I think to get a film adaptation.
Yeah, and he apparently knows who this guy is, and he's like, oh, he's not crazy. He's not meaning to like hurt us. He's trying to defect, and he's like he during the course of the movie he comes up with all these reasons why. he assumes that the guy is trying to defect, and he'll do anything in his power to like help him with his mission to defect and get him safely to America. But on top of those two characters, they had, of course, Sam Neill's in this. He's like the second in command to Sean Connery.
Yeah.
So he has a pretty big role in this. I think Tim Curry is on the Russian boat too as like the doctor. So it's another famous face. There's plenty of offers too in this movie, and you're like, oh wow, like here's another famous guy. Here's another famous guy. It's just crazy. I know Alec Baldwin isn't everyone's favorite person these days after the crazy accident that happened on the set of his movie Rust, but he made an Instagram video following Sam Neill's death that I watched, and he was just recounting shooting hunt for Red October and working with everyone on the crew there, and how memorable of an experience that was. So that was pretty fascinating to watch, and just another guy shouting out Sam Neill. As for what I think of the movie, Evan, I actually kind of think it's kind of boring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was telling some of our friends the other day at the karaoke party that like I felt that way, and 2 out of the 3 agreed with me, and one of them was like, no way, you can't say that this movie's boring. It's like, riveting in some ways. I'm like, I guess, but it's a very talky movie. It's all about like,
Yeah, there's a lot of talking.
It's more about like strategy than it is action.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's been a while since I've seen The Hunt for Red October, but I will say it's definitely a dad movie. Like I remember watching it a lot with my grandpa growing up, and I remember liking it a lot. It's been long enough that I feel like I would need to like rewatch it, but I think I probably would still enjoy it even if it's a bit talky. The cast is really good, and Sam Neill as like the kind of second in command. Well, first of all, the people, no one does a good Russian accent. This movie, in my opinion, I don't think anybody does a good one. But I do remember seeing the movie and thinking Sam Neill does a lot with a little. He's one of the main characters, but he's not like on screen as much, I feel like, but he still takes up a lot of space because he's got a lot of charisma, and he uses his time effectively to take up that space in a good way, not to choose scenery, but to like be present and to feel like a substantial character as one of the officers who has a lot at stake as well, in addition to Sean Connery as like the commander. All of his officers are going to defect with him, right? And so they all have just as much at stake, and so it feels like high stakes for them, at least in my opinion.
No, that's certainly true. I mean, like there's a point early on in the movie where Sean Connery has to like kill a guy who is, like a third party, like watching over everybody responsible for the Russian government, and he's just like, he's like, I had to kill him because like he would never go along with this and defect with us. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's The Hunt for Red October. I think they just reissued the steelbook of it on 4K. If you like fancy steelbooks, that might be something you want to pick up to own. I know I also saw it available on Canopy. So if you
Nice.
have like a library membership, you could get on the platform Canopy and watch it.
Yeah. I'll note that my dad is a huge Tom Clancy fan, and I seem to recall that he was not a fan of Alec Baldwin as Jack Ryan, even before Alec Baldwin became even more infuriating to him for many different political reasons. I feel like he was just not as big a fan of Alec Baldwin as Jack Ryan.
Right. Let's go to the biggie, which was Jurassic Park. And Sam Neill plays Dr. Alan Grant. His introduction is pretty great at the beginning, where it's just very apparent that he's anti-children.
Right. It's very Captain Picard.
Yeah. When his partner, played by Laura Dern, like kind of hints to him, like, maybe we should have a family someday, or what have you. He's very much like, no, let's continue doing our research. That's not like something I want to do. And of course, the movie would put him in a situation where he has to be a father figure to two children. The creator of Jurassic Park Dr. Hammond, I think it is, and
Mm-hmm.
he's played by Richard Attenborough, and he's it's his grandchildren in the movie, and so Sam Neill's put in this position where he has to protect them and take care of them, and it's a great job. It shows like how he grows over the course of the movie, and you get like the like look between him and Laura Dern on the helicopter at the end. Like, oh yeah, maybe he'd be into it, like having
Yeah.
children now, as you can see how rewarding it is. But yeah, he's part of a lot of the memorable scenes, I'd say, in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether or not it's the T-Rex in the rain near the car, he's kind of involved with that.
The aftermath of that, when the car like flips over the side of the cliff and then climbing up into the tree, the feeding the Brachiosaurus,
Hmm.
like the electric fence
Yeah, the electric
scene.
fence is great.
Oh my god. The stampede when him and the kids are like having to like dodge the stampeding dinosaurs. There's just so you're right. There's so many great scenes he's involved in.
Yeah, and I wrote a little bit like, even though Jurassic Park will continue to like six more movies now, I think seven, because
My
the most
god.
recent one with Scarlett Johansson is the seventh, I believe. He ended up appearing in three of them,
Hmm.
and it's like, even though his story is pretty much over, they kept on finding ways to bring him back because you know outside of maybe a few other characters, he was the one that like people most connected to as Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it was like weaker when we got to Lost World that we had, Ian Malcolm, the Jeff Goldblum character,
Hmm.
like leading the charge.
Yeah,
I told it made sense to me why they're like, okay, with the third one, we're bringing Sam Neill back and we'll give him some like thing to do here. I mean, they're stronger when they're back together, I think, but Sam Neill is really excellent in this. Like you said, his character has so much growth over the course of the film, and he does a really effective job of like portraying someone who doesn't like kids but softens over the course of the movie because he realizes he both needs to and he actually likes these kids in
yeah,
particular, and yeah, he's able to step into that role when he needs to. And yeah, it's a really really great performance. It's there's a good reason why it's an iconic one for him and why it kind of like put him on the map for people.
yeah. And it's funny, Evan. I think his experience of kids is many people's experience of children. Whereas, like, sure, when you're hanging out with somebody else's children, you're like, oh, well, these kids aren't really my favorite. But like when you find kids that like have similar interests to you and kind of like you
Mm-hmm.
can bond with, then you're like, oh, these are pretty cool. And so like that's kind of how I feel like he kind of sees these children that he's with during the movie, because certainly they're interested in what their grandfather's doing, the dinosaurs, and they're not like bratty kids. It's just like the one that he's introduced to when he's like scaring it with the raptor finger at the beginning of the
the
movie.
Yeah, the raptor claw. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Jurassic Park is incredible. I realized that I didn't actually own this one on 4K. I certainly own it on like off a format back in the day, but maybe I'll pick it up soon, because I'm like, yeah, I really love Jurassic Park. And it was funny. I was showing my daughter some trailers for movies because we ended up watching Homeward Bound yesterday,
Wow.
and she really enjoyed that. And then afterwards, I'm like, maybe she's old enough for ET. I'm like, let's watch the trailer and like see what she thinks about the alien, and maybe she's ready for ET. But I'm like, how about Jurassic Park? Because I'm like, you and I were similar age at that time, and she's like, no,
Mm.
she's like, I'm not ready for that yet.
That's a little too scary. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair. I mean, it was a little scary,
I remember
but
like
also
closing.
really good.
I remember like closing my eyes during that whole sequence where like the guy gets eaten off the toilet, and then it's like, now I watch it and I laugh, but like,
I mean, it's objectively funny.
yeah.
Guy goes to hide on the toilet, and of course, the T Rex is going to eat the guy in the toilet.
Hmm.
Could you not? But I mean, it's an incredible film. Like, to your comment about not owning it, I don't own it either. I've never owned Jurassic Park, but I feel like it's just so present. It's like so easy to find usually. It's like on TV a lot. It's
Hmm.
usually like on, multiple platforms to see very easily. I remember going to see it again in the theaters when they did the 3D version just cuz I was like, "Oh great, Jurassic Park, I'll go see it in the theater again." And it was a blast. It's just such a good movie on so many levels.
All right. We had some other movies here, and I think like when we talked about John Carpenter fairly recently, we talked about In the Mouth of Madness a little because I remember
Mhm.
like watching it for that and wanting to see like another Carpenter film because I think at the time like either it was probably me and you and I was like, oh, there's like it's almost not a Carpenter film that I dislike because
Yeah.
he does a lot of great movies.
He does. He has a pretty strong batting average, I would say. Not perfect. He's definitely made some stinkers. And I appreciate that at a certain point he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna hang it up on making movies and stick to like making music and just like goofing around.
Mhm. Yeah, and certainly not to the level of some of his like ultra classics, like The Thing or Halloween or what have you. But In the Mouth of Madness is a pretty good movie, and Sam Neill is tasked in this movie to locate a missing best-selling author, and
Yeah. His name is like Sutter Kane or
yeah,
something.
that's it. It's like, do you know Sutter Kane or something like that, or do you read Sutter Kane?
Yeah.
Is like one of the taglines of the movie. And so like I guess like he's joined by a woman companion or something. I forget like how she's kind of connected to it, and they go to this like really old timey village where Sutter Kane is supposedly living, and there's just like something not right with the village.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a real like heady, creepy, weird, like psychotic break kind of movie. And so that might either be your cup of tea or it's not. I think I remember watching this and being like, it is not my cup of tea at all. And I think I don't remember liking the movie very much, but I do think that Sam Neill is really good in it because he goes all in on it. Like he seems like he's like giving 110% throughout this movie and giving like a real dynamite performance despite all of the like literal insanity going on around him.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, it gets to the point where, like, maybe some of it is goofy, like, because it goes, like, so far that other direction, but I still had fun with it. I guess if you're still getting back to physical media, if you're out there looking for it, Arrow Video released a really neat box set of it recently in 4K, gave it
Mm,
a nice restoration with a lot of great extra special stuff. I'm sure it will be something that people even look to more now with his passing. So,
yeah. I think it's probably worth seeing if you like Sam Neill and you want to see him in a more like lead performance. It's definitely worth at least one watch to me.
you had put Event Horizon on here, and that is certainly one that I am familiar with by name, but I have never seen it.
It's one of those ones I think I remember seeing because it was like on TV a fair bit, and then I think I ended up like renting it or watching it at some point later. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it is one of those movies that's like has a bit of a reputation in the horror world. And Sam Neill did some horror, but it's not like I wouldn't say it's his wheelhouse. But this one, he plays like the creepy inventor of the technology in Event Horizon, the spaceship that folds space. It's like got like a hyperdrive that folds space, and listeners, it basically opens a portal to hell and all. Like hell, literal all hell breaks loose on the ship. And Sam Neill, I think, is really excellent in this too, as the like creepy guy who is like knows way more than he's letting on. Because like the deal is that like this ship, has vanished, and I think it's been like 7 years or something since anyone has heard from it. And then like randomly pops up and like, oh, let's send a rescue mission. And if you've seen the movie Sunshine, it's very similar vibes where it's like, oh, let's go check out this ship that's gone missing. What could possibly go wrong? Crap, our ship's disabled. Now we have to go on the ship that we're going to rescue. And it's yeah, I remember it being like pretty creepy and gnarly, like gross. Like I think Sam Neill's character gets his face gets all like scratched up and people are like ripping their eyeballs out and stuff. It's I remember being pretty gory. But it's a fun like sci-fi horror movie, and yeah, I think Sam Neill also is going all in on this one too.
Yeah, yeah, it's certainly a movie I've heard of quite a bit. I just haven't had the opportunity to watch it. Later in his career, Sam Neill, I guess he he would continue to work for sure, but I'm less familiar with his once he got into the 2000s and 2010s and 2020s. I know we said that he appeared in the last Chris Pratt Jurassic Park movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was also busy on TV. I guess he appeared in like a season or two of Peaky Blinders, that very popular TV show.
Yeah, he was in a Peacock show that I thought was pretty good about a. I think it's based on a book. It's like a family of people who are like tennis people. The dad's like he plays the dad, the patriarch, and he's like a tennis guy, and then he's married to Annette Bening, and she like goes missing, and the whole family's like looking for her and trying to figure out what happened. It's kind of like mystery, showing from different people's perspectives. But I remember him being quite good in it as the kind of like stoic patriarch, like clearly putting on a front for with all kinds of stuff going on in the background that they're trying to like keep away from other people.
And another one of well, they said he actually finished four more films. I think that he still has
Wow.
coming out, including an appearance in like a new Godzilla versus Kong movie. So yeah, he'll still appear in another blockbuster. But one of the late period movies that he did was Taika Waititi's The Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and Taika, this was right before he did Thor, so he wasn't quite a household name as he is more so now.
Hmm.
Since then he's done two Thor movies and he's done
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit and Next Gold Wins. So he's done like maybe four or five more movies since Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Hmm. And Sam Neill did make cameo appearances in the Thor ones that Taika Waititi did.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, this was like more in my interest based on What We Do in the Shadows, because Taika
Hmm.
Waititi also did that. And Hunt for the Wilderpeople, it stars Sam Neill as like this curmudgeon guy who I guess his one of like it's not right at the beginning, but him and his wife decide to adopt a young boy who has been through the adoption system quite a few times. Like no one can really keep him, and it's been difficult for him. And, very quickly after adopting him, Sam Neill's wife gets ill and passes away.
Well, that's
And
sad.
yeah, it's not really like his deal to have this like adopted kid. He's just like he kind of did it because his wife wanted to, and so like
Mm.
there's like a disconnect there and a lot of grief. And so the boy decides like, oh well, I'm not gonna go back into the adoption system because like it won't go well for me. So he's like, I'm just gonna like go out into the woods and try to survive.
Mm.
And Sam Neill has to like gear up and chase after him and try to help him. And over the course of doing that, the authorities get involved and they're like, did he kidnap this boy or is he like abusing this boy because he's not at home safely? And so that they're not only like trying to survive out there, but they also are trying to run from the authorities.
Sounds like a good movie. It's
Yeah,
been on my list for a while. I've really been meaning to see it, and I've heard it's really good.
yeah, it's heartwarming and funny for the boy who they get. I forget his first name, but I think his last name is like Dennison or something like that. He's appeared in a few more things. He's made a little career for himself since then. I think like the supporting cast is pretty good. Like there's some other comedians in it. It definitely was not Olivia Colman, but maybe it was this like Rachel House who played Paula Hall in the movie, because I remember her being pretty funny. But yeah, good movie. If you've been turned off by Taika Waititi after 4-3 for whatever reason with Next Gold Wins and Jojo Rabbit, I do recommend this one. This one's still pretty good. And the
Hmm.
boy's name is Julian Dennison, so I wasn't too
Yeah.
far off.
Yeah, I recognize this guy. Okay, yeah, I've seen him and stuff.
But yeah, like I said, Sam Neill went on to do a few more pictures after that, and he still has a few coming out, including Godzilla, Kong, Supernova, which is supposed to come out next year. So I'll still have a chance to see him in theaters. It's a terrible tragedy that he went through that I guess the trouble of kicking cancer and just to like then pass away from
Just
pneumonia.
get felled by pneumonia. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it sucks. And I don't know. This is probably not relevant or matters to anyone. I always thought that Sam Neill aged very gracefully too. Like I was when I looked at him and saw that he was like almost 80, I was like, I don't think that guy looks like he's almost 80. Like he looks good for his age. But I also think he was maybe one of those guys that looked a little bit older when he was younger, so he had the advantage of kind of aging more gracefully in that regard.
All right, cool. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation on actor Sam Neill. Check out some of the movies we've mentioned, like The Hunt for Red October, and The Mouth of Madness, Event
Mm.
Horizon, and The Hunt for
Dead
the
calm.
Wilderpeople, Dead Calm, as well as Jurassic Park. Yeah, I can't really recommend Jurassic World Dominion, the last one that he appeared in with Chris Pratt. That's a bad movie, Evan.
Yeah, I stopped watching those movies after I saw the first Jurassic World. I was like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, like if you thought like maybe it'd be worth it just to see him and like Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum back in the movie, it's still not worth it. But yeah, before we get into what we've been watching on our discussion on the Odyssey, I'm gonna pause for some station identification. And you've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast, episode number 225. If you want to email us and tell us your favorite Sam Neill performance, your thoughts about Netflix buying Letterboxd, and whether or not you think it's time that we all stop buying physical media, let us know at it's the pictures at gmail.com. You can also catch us on social media, mostly Blue Sky, me at maxcovill.com, or just search my name, Max Covill. You can find the podcast on Blue Sky. It's the pickpod.bsky.social. You can also follow us on Instagram, on YouTube. We do a lot of YouTube shorts now that have been doing well for us. If you want to check us out there. We also have a Letterboxd page. And if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you just search me, MH Colville, and look at what I've been watching lately. Evan, where can I find you?
Listeners, you can hear me every week over on Spoiler Piece Theater, the weekly film review podcast. And you can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film real.
All right, cool. What we've been watching. Evan.
Wait, Max, did you say what we've talked about on the newsletter recently?
No, I didn't. I guess let's talk about that for a second. Yeah, the newsletter, the It's a Pictures newsletter. You can find it at www.itsthepictures.com. Recently, I've been doing some reviews for subscribers to the newsletter. If you are subscribed, you can see reviews for the new Olivia Wilde movie, The Invite, which played back at Sundance in January and finally got a wider release from A24 over the summer now, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. If you want to read more about that, you can go there. I also did a written review of the Odyssey if you want to get more into the minutia and weeds about my thoughts about the Odyssey. Evan, I know that you also talked about the Odyssey on your podcast spoiler piece, so I'm sure if you want a longer conversation than what we're gonna do, you can go there too.
Yeah, we did get into it. It was one of the more lengthy ones that we've had recently because like on spoiler piece, we review one movie, and sometimes lately I feel like we're wrapping up a conversation in like 30 minutes, but this was a little bit longer. It was like, okay, we actually have a lot to say about the movie and about Christopher Nolan.
All right, Evan, outside of the Odyssey, which we'll both talk about shortly, why don't you tell me what you've been watching?
Sure. I caught up with a horror movie I've actually been really excited to see this year called Hokum, which is written and directed by Damien McCarthy, who is one of my favorite horror directors working right now. He's, of his movies that I've seen, it's 3 for 3 with me. He did a movie called Caveat in 2020 that is like a really creepy haunted house kind of movie. Another movie called Oddity from a couple of years ago that I thought was also really, really good. Involved this like creepy wooden statue thing, and Hokum, and this one stars the great Adam Scott, who is an author who travels to this inn, this like countryside inn in Ireland, and he's there. He goes there initially because his parents honeymooned there, his late parents. And there's this tale of like, oh, the honeymoon suite to the hotel is locked because a witch lives there, and it's like behind lock and key and gate, and he befriends one of the people who works there who goes missing, and they're like, oh, I think she like went up there and she's missing up there, so he like he's like, well, I gotta go up there and see what's going on. And it's really well done. It's another like really great horror movie. It's creepy, it's suspenseful. Adam Scott plays a gigantic d-bag in the movie, like one of those like really shitty author guys who's just a like real prick. He does so very effectively. And yeah, there's fun little bit of like mythology slash some good comeuppance, as there tends to be at the end of Damien McCarthy's movies. I know Oddity had a really great comeuppance moment. This one I think does too, where shitty people get what they deserve. And yeah, I was just so glad to finally see this. And I knew it wouldn't disappoint me. I was like, I loved Caveat. I loved Oddity. So I was very pleasantly surprised. One of the more interesting things in this is there's a his book that he's writing. He or his book series that's a hit. Adam Scott's book series has a character called the Conquistador,
Hmm.
who's played by the actor Austin Emilio, who I really like. So I love that he like pops up in this, and but he's in like a couple scenes as like a character within the book in the movie.
Yeah, I heard things, pretty good things about that one too.
Hmm.
I think it might have also been at Sundance, if I remember correctly. Like another one of those like festival movies that finally got released and people really enjoyed it. Was that something you call on streaming, Evan?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's currently rentable, so if you want to check it out, rent it.
Awesome. I caught up with I guess the summer's breakout hit, Obsession. It is now available to rent or buy on premium VOD, or if you have Peacock, they just allowed that to be streamed, I
Hmm.
guess, on the
Yep.
17th. This is a movie that premiered at TIFF at Midnight Madness, and it kind of came and went. I didn't hear like too much talk about it, like people being like out of this world excited about it. I know, like I looked at the movie afterwards, and Focus Features did spend a good amount of money to acquire it out of TIFF, and it's just like one of these word of mouth hits that really caught on, and I fully understand why people wanted to talk about it afterwards. The story is about this like quote good guy, like the type of guy who is nice to everybody, doesn't really have a backbone, and never gets what he
Hmm.
wants. And he has this like unrequited crush on one of his coworkers, and he is finally trying to get up the nerve to like ask her out and everything like that. And before he does that, he goes to this like crystal shop, and he finds this like wish thing that like when you use it you can make a wish.
Hmm.
They call this type of thing in horror the monkey paw.
Yeah, aka be careful what you wish for.
Right. So when it looks like she is kind of like rejected him and is going back to her house, he decides that he's going to use it, and he wishes that this woman would love him more than anyone else in the world. And while that initially seems pretty cool to him, if not a little odd, because he can't believe it actually worked.
Hmm.
He quickly realizes that being loved that strongly is kind of suffocating. And the movie shows like what lengths that the woman eventually goes to like be with him all the time, and then, like they say, obsessed with him, because he was in turn obsessed with her, but much differently. Evan, like at some points it's scary, like what happens to her.
Hmm.
Certainly, I mean, I think like even more frightening is the way that the monkey paw works. Is that it almost like traps her subconsciousness that you know has a mind of its own, and like
Gotcha.
wouldn't want to be this intimate with him. like
Yeah.
like somewhere like it like pops up in some places, and like I think that's maybe the scariest thing about this movie,
Mm.
because she doesn't have her own willpower anymore, and she's just like giving herself over to this guy. And yeah, that's pretty frightening.
That sounds like a good twist on this idea to give the character more agency and like space to be able to have those feelings and to show that there's like the powerlessness of it. That's a smart way to do it. I mean, I was already excited to see this, but now I'm even more excited.
Yeah, I mean, in that way, Evan, like I said, there's been a lot of conversations about this movie, and certainly people are like, oh, even like rape culture, right? Because like if like some part of her is like unwilling, but like she's going into it because of this magic spell. Like they're like, oh well, what kind of movie has he made? Or because this is, I guess, Clive Barker is the director of this movie, but given that the movie was a monstrous success, we'll be seeing plenty more movies from him, I'm sure.
But yeah, I bet.
So yeah, that's Obsession. That's it's available via Premium VOD or on Peacock. Evan, we both saw Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. I had the privilege of seeing it in IMAX 70 millimeter here in Rhode Island,
Lucky.
and did you see it like a press screening or?
I did, and I was shocked that that press screening was neither IMAX nor 70 millimeter. Like Christopher Nolan would be so mad right now if he saw this as how we were watching this movie.
Yeah, it was funny. Like I think like I saw that invite, Evan, and I think like I saw where it was going to be played, and I'm like, this is not a 70 millimeter theater.
Hmm.
So I don't know how they're going to show it in 70.
I mean, I figured it would at least be in IMAX because the theater has an IMAX screen. And I was like, what else are they playing on it right now? I don't even know.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you know, ideally, we're Boston area critics, and like ideally, it would have been playing at like the Coolidge or the Somerville, which are equipped with 70 millimeter screens at the very least. And if you're in that area, that's probably the best way to see the Odyssey.
Hmm.
But there's lots of different flavors to see these movies, Evan. It's kind of like what Warner Brothers did with Sinners and One Battle After Another last year, where like, oh, you can go see it in Dolby Atmos, or you can go see it on IMAX 70 millimeter, or you could go see it on like regular IMAX. You can go see it in 70 millimeter. You can go see it on 35 millimeter. You can just see
Hmm.
it in digital DCP.
Yeah, I saw Letterbox was doing some type of like
Yeah.
contest where they have like a digital punch card situation. It was like just log all the different ways you've seen the Odyssey to enter some like contest to win the screenplay for it.
And make no doubt, it is like a long movie,
Hmm.
but it is not impossibly long. I saw like the Atlantic post something about it, Evan, and then we'll go into the movie that they like some of the younger generation are saying that movies are too long and they're having trouble sitting through it, and I'm just like, this movie isn't really that long. I mean, come on.
Well, I think it is that long, but I think a truly good movie can be long and keep your attention.
That's fair. And I think like as we'll go in, like the nature of the story of the Odyssey is that it's almost in chapters.
Hmm.
The movie plays like that too. So it's like if one chapter isn't to your liking, maybe the next one will be.
Try again.
Yeah, it's just
What'd you think?
it's just in the Odyssey's nature, right? How it's been collected by Homer and translated over all these years, that it's almost like different stories within a larger narrative of our hero or anti-hero, Odysseus trying to get home.
Yeah.
I thought it was great, Evan. I thought it was the summation of what he's been doing in the last 4 or 5 movies. Again, he, I guess he's the sole credited screenwriter for it, so he has molded the story of the Odyssey into what he needs it to be to fit his larger themes.
Yeah.
I say like the story of guys trying to get back to their children, like if like Interstellar, like through impossible odds, or like any like the seafaring stuff that was in Dunkirk, or impossible odds. Of course, like in his Oscar-winning movie Oppenheimer, where Oppenheimer has to kind of deal with the aftermath of his great accomplishment, and I,
Hmm.
that is probably the biggest change in the material, Evan, in my opinion, where like they really make Odysseus contemplate his role in the fall of Troy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's something I definitely was. I mean, like, I'm be honest. I never read the Odyssey. I'm familiar with the Iliad, but I'm not super familiar with like Greek mythology and like Greek storytelling of the era. But I was pleasantly surprised that the movie does kind of take that angle of Odysseus being a kind of war weary guy who's like plagued by PTSD, by guilt for toppling Troy and what that meant in the ensuing aftermath. And I found that particularly compelling.
Yeah, and it's funny like how much of from what I've read that the Iliad is and stuff about the sacking of Troy is not in the Odyssey. The Odyssey is like the actual epic poems itself is very much concerned with just the aftermath and
Mm,
Odysseus getting home and his wife Penelope entertaining over 100 suitors and like having to deal with their constant advances and wanting to become king in Odysseus's absence.
yeah,
But to actually show like this big Trojan horse and show the guys getting in the horse and like their commitment to getting into Troy, I thought that was
yeah.
like all really compelling stuff.
Super compelling when John Bernthal's character is like recounting what they're doing. Like you almost like feel like you're sitting in the horse with them. Like
Hmm.
they show like them inside and the almost having people drowning and sweat, and he's talking about the sweat and feces and stuff, and they're just like, oh my god, it sounds so gnarly.
Yeah. No, it was a really great description, and critic Matt Zoller Zeiss really highlighted that in his review of the Odyssey, and I was like, oh, I'm glad that he did because yeah, I thought that all that stuff is really compelling. I guess like one of the things that I thought was like odd casting is this idea of Tom Holland still being like a young boy. I think he said it himself in interviews afterwards. He's like, "This is probably like the last time I'll be able to play like a boy because like he's a 30-year-old man." And
Yeah,
he said he was trying to play Telemascus with like as like a 16-year-old.
yeah. I think he's honestly the weak link
Mm,
in this cast. I think his performance is not as good, but I also think he's challenged by his character being written to be kind of a dud.
yeah.
Like he's supposed to be like kind of a wimp, right? Because you're supposed to like see him kind of try to come into his own, but that to me, that journey kind of ranked false as like one of the things that I was like, I don't think the movie did a good job with this.
Yeah, and I don't know if so much like sometimes with this Evan, you're like kind of tied to whatever the source material gives you.
Mm-hmm.
I I thought like some people were like, oh yeah, Robert Pattinson did really good because he's really swarmy, but I'm like, I don't know, like I thought like there was other like supporting performances that were more memorable to me. Like
Interesting.
I really liked Himish Patel as Matt Damon's second on the boat on the journey.
Yeah, he was great.
I really feel like he's almost like the emotion or the face of the crew because
Yeah.
whenever it goes back to showing the feelings of the crew going through this like trial and tribulations, they go back to him and try to get his feeling on the moment. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like him as like a cipher for the entire crew is really important to the success of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you've heard this show, you heard me talking about movies, you probably know that I'm no fan of a long movie, but I will say that this movie falls into the category I mentioned earlier, where it's long, but it holds the attention. For me, it did hold my attention, and I did not feel the substantial length of it in ways that I might have if it was another movie. I know I was like super not looking forward to watching it. I was like, oh, it's almost 3 hours. Kill me now. And then I sat down and watched it. I was like, oh, that was actually really good. It did
Yeah.
hold my attention. I did think it was well done on a lot of levels. I think. Go ahead, Max. What were you going to say?
Did you think the Cersei witch stuff was really gnarly? Like I was like
My God.
I was telling
Yes, I was.
Shannon, I was telling Shannon it
Yeah.
was like a scary, spirited away prologue.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely one of the gnarlier parts of the movie. I mean, Samantha Morton, I've always really liked her, but she freaking blew it out of the water in this like yeah, like scenes that she's in. And yeah, the transformation of the men into the pigs is like probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever witnessed in a movie before. It's just so gross with all like the sounds of people like chewing their food and grunting and like oh my god, it was yuck. But I mean, it stuck in. It was like burned into my brain.
Yeah.
I mean, the performances are really great. The cast is really great. For me, I think all of the supernatural elements also seem to fit in pretty well. Like they all kind of work and are believable to me. I was the most blown away though by the score of the movie by Ludwig Göransson. And prior to this, my favorite score from this year was the score for Mando and Grogu, which is also Ludwig
Yeah.
Göransson. So I was like, wow, now I saw this one. This score is excellent. I'm like, I can't decide which one I like more, but this one might have edged out Mando and Grogu, which I was like surprised and didn't think would happen. But it would make sense that Ludwig Göransson could unseat himself in this race.
Yeah, he's an incredible composer. I mentioned so as much as in my review of the movie, he's won Oscars for his soundtracks for Black Panther, Sinners, and Oppenheimer. So a great composer, and
Yeah.
it's really fascinating what they've decided to do for the score of the Odyssey. They use a lot of chant, a lot of voice to carry like the harmonies and melodies of the music, and as well as like trying to recreate instruments that would have been used during that time period.
Yeah. It's also just it's very intense and it amplifies the action scenes. Like I described this movie as dirty, dangerous, and chaotic. And there's so many scenes where it feels very chaotic. Everyone's like really like in the like grossness of everything, and there's just so much like danger and like men are getting killed left and right. Like the scene where they come upon those like armored giants
Mm-hmm.
is probably like one of the most, if not the most terrifying section of the movie, where it's like all of a sudden they just descend on them and are just like massacring, Odysseus's men.
Yeah,
And they like just barely get away with their lives. Like the few of them that do get away.
they just do not have a good time of it. They're like, here's another island. Let's see what's here, and they
Yeah.
get annihilated.
Yeah. I mean, and I respect that the movie portrays how Odysseus, as a leader, plays pretty fast and loose with his decision making and people's lives, and how that does haunt him many years later, as it should, because he's pretty freaking reckless with his men and their lives.
Well, yeah, I mean, like early on their voyage, or right after they're supposed to leave Troy, they're like, "Oh, if we follow this other guy, that's the way home." And he's like, "Nah, let's go the other way and like just
Yeah,
see
let's
like what's out there."
let's like fuck around. And you're like, that's not gonna work out well. That's not gonna go well for anybody. We know this. What did you think of the decision to have Benny Safdie play King Agamemnon, but to like never really show his face?
No, I
I
thought
thought
that
that was
was
kind of interesting.
no, that was excellent. It leaves you guessing who is playing that role. Eventually I was able to pick it out, and maybe film goers who are familiar with Benny Safdie would be able to figure it out even before the credits roll. But no, and kudos to him for like not putting up a big stink about like not having his face in a movie this big. Because like, oh yeah, he could have been like, yeah, I I deserve to have my face seen in a movie like this, and but maybe it was more powerful just to have this like faceless guy.
Yeah, I think it definitely added an air of intrigue around him. And I actually really like Benny Safdie as an actor. I think he's quite versatile, and I like seeing him when he shows up as an actor. I mean, I like his directing, but I also really like him as an actor, and I think he has a lot of range, which I've been really pleasantly surprised by the more things I see him in. Like, oh, it's just like so totally different, like in various different like roles that I see him in.
No, and we like we've already mentioned a lot of great performances. I mean, like I didn't even know Charlize Theron was in this movie, and then she shows up. It's like, oh, look at that, she's there. And then
Yeah,
John Leguizamo is really good.
he's an MVP in this one for sure.
And then just you turn around, there's another famous face. Everybody got a chance in this one. Yeah, it's an epic in every way. Like I said in my review, if you want to read more, from the cinematography to the music to the staging to the extras and what have you, it's amazing what everybody put together, and you know the money behind it, and that we're getting a movie like this in 2026. I argue, like, you know, to do this on the cheap of AI and more CG would have been a lot easier, I imagine, but you wouldn't have nearly gotten the results. So
Yeah, didn't they shoot it in like a really insanely short time window too? Like they shot it in just like a few months.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
heard that somewhere,
And
like
like
3 months.
Evan, I pointed out, like, they use these like IMAX cameras for like the whole movie, because the whole movie is in 70 millimeter IMAX when you see it in that format. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, how did they get those lenses in that really low light cave sequence?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's just fascinating from like a film shooting perspective. But I know I've been listening to the score in the house, and Shannon doesn't really appreciate it. She is
Oh,
not.
that's a shame.
She likes the music to go with the movie, but she's like, yeah, it's kind of heavy to just listen to like casually. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I could see that.
sorry. But yeah, that's our thoughts on the Odyssey. If you would like to hear Evan and I go into more in depth on that movie, because it's a hot movie at the moment. I did some writing on the newsletter, and Evan talked more about it with his co-host Dave over at the Spoiler Piece Theater podcast. Evan, this has been a great episode of It's the Pictures. We're getting into the film festival season. I saw earlier this week TIFF and New York Film Festival, and I think Venice have already started to announce movies. I know that the Sean Hayter, who directed Coda, has a new one coming to TIFF.
Cool.
So it is time to turn the calendar over to the more prestige movies, almost out of the summer season. We'll see how that goes on our next episode.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Take care, Evan.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.